This video is going to talk about positive and negative decimals. So as you can see on the screen, we have 2/10ths and 6/1000ths in this decimal, 206 thousandths. We have a 2 in the tenths spot, and we have a 6 in the thousandths spot. That means the same thing as 2/10ths plus 6/1000ths, or we can write that as 206 thousandths, which is how we would say it. So you can see that there are 3 digits after the decimal point, which means that there are 3 zeros in the denominator. In this decimal, there are also 3 numbers after the decimal point, so there are still 3 digits in the denominator. How I like to think of this is through a story, and I like to think of a hot summer day. So if we start with, well, that's not going to work. If we start with, 206 thousandths, I like to think of a hot summer day. And the day is so hot that the decimal melts, and it drips down, and it becomes a 1. And everything after the decimal is fried. They become zeros. And that's how I like to convert decimals to fractions. Let's take a look at 37 thousandths. 0.037. Hot summer day. So hot that the decimal drips down and becomes a 1. Everything after the decimal is fried. So then we don't need this 0 anymore, so it becomes 37 thousandths. So they want you to tell how many zeros we would put in the denominator. We can hot summer day this. Hot summer day, 0, 0, 0. Hot summer day, 0, 0, 0. Hot summer day, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, is this the way that all of these are going to look? Final answer? No. You want to make sure that you rewrite this so that it looks neat. So this would be 3/10ths. This, we don't need any zeros in the front because that doesn't change anything, would just be 56 over 1,000, and it's not simplified. This would be 801 thousandths. And this right here, we can get rid of all of these extras and just make it 437 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1 million. And there we go. So now what they want you to do is they want you to write the fraction as a decimal. The numerator tells you what digit to write. The denominator tells you how far you put the 0. So let's go ahead and look at this. We have a 0. There's one thing I don't like about this. We also have a 0 and we have a 0 and a 4, a 0 and a 3, so we need one more 0 before we put the decimal point. So that becomes 0.034. Let's take a look at 3/100ths. How many digits do we have to put into the decimal? Well, the 0 connects to the 3, and we need another 0 to connect with a number, so we're going to put the number 0 right there. So our decimal is 0.03. Can you write 0.03? Absolutely. Do you have to? Not really. I especially like to put that extra 0 when I'm typing something because the decimal is very small and can become lost. But you're going to notice I don't write it all the time, and that's okay. Just make sure that your decimal is very, very evident. So, how many zeros do we need to add after the decimal point in each of these fractions? Let's take a look. I want you to try this on your own, and then we're going to take a look together. Welcome back. So for letter A, we have the 0 to the 4, the 0 to the 3, the decimal. This would just be 0.34. For letter B, we have the 0 to the 7. We still need two more numbers to connect up. So we're going to put 0, 0. So this is going to be 0.007, or 7 thousandths. For letter C, we can connect up two of these. We still need two more, so 0.0032. For letter D, 1, 2, 3, 4. We need one more to connect up, 0.08405. Done. We've just converted fractions to decimals. So this is them talking about the 0 before the decimal. Decimals can also be used to represent mixed numbers. The whole number part of the mixed number goes to the left of the decimal point, just like whole numbers do. So we can see that if we have 5.28, or 5 and 28 hundredths, if I want to turn that into a fraction, when I do hot summer day and the decimal drips down, everything else after the decimal is fried. Which means that this 5 is still there. So this becomes 5 and 28 over 100. It's very important to rewrite this so that you can clearly see that the 5 is in the whole number spot and not like accidentally hanging off of the numerator. Same thing to convert this back to a decimal. Connect up, put a decimal, that becomes 5.28. So they want you to write the missing decimal. We have 3 and 6 hundredths. What does that look like as a decimal? Well, remember that the word and when you're writing out a number stands for the decimal. So we have 3 here, 6 hundredths here. We're just going to write the word and, which would also mean that's where the decimal goes. So if I combine 3 and 6 hundredths, that becomes 3 and 6 hundredths, or 3.06. So they want you to write these decimals. Go ahead and start off. I would write the numbers first and then combine them up. You go ahead and give it a shot, and when you come back, we'll talk about it. Welcome back. 5 and 8 hundredths. So I have the number 5, and means decimal, 8 hundredths. The first number after the decimal is a 0, because that's the tenths place, not the hundredths place. 8 goes in the hundredths spot, tenths, hundredths. Just like if I were to say 8 hundredths as a fraction, it would look like that, which means we need the 2 decimal places. 35 thousandths. Let's write that as a fraction first. That looks like 35 over 1,000, which means 1, 2, I'll need 3 decimal places. 0.035. 7 and 12 thousandths. Well, I know what 7 looks like. 12 thousandths. Not exactly sure, so I'm going to use my fraction trick. 12 over 1,000. 1, 2, I'll need 3 digits, so I need to put a 0 before that. 0, 1, 2. And then 20 and 2 thousandths. Well, I know that 20 and, that's pretty clear. 2 thousandths. I could look and I could say tenths, hundredths, thousandths, or I can do 2 thousandths and then figure out how many zeros I need before it. 1, 2, 3. So that's 2 zeros. 0, 0, 2. So now they want us to label. And remember, we're going to look at the number of digits after the decimal point to tell whether the decimal is tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. So if I do the hot summer day and the decimal drips down here, that becomes 10. So this would be tenths. You try the rest, and we'll talk about it after you've unpaused. Welcome back. Hot summer day here would become hundredths. Hot summer day here would also become hundredths. And hot summer day here gives us thousandths. Make sure you've got that TH at the end of it. So now we have 20 and 4 hundredths, or 24 hundredths. 20 and 4 hundredths tells us that we have the number 20, the decimal, 4 hundredths. So you can see 20 decimal 4 hundredths. 24 hundredths tells us 24 in the hundredth spot, which is all right there together. So they want us to write the mixed number for this. Show me hot summer day. Go ahead and give it a shot. Welcome back. So let's go ahead and look. Hot summer day, the decimal drips down. Every number after it becomes 0. Put that fraction bar, so that's 891 over 1,000. If you have 45,891, that's too much. Remember that that decimal is right there. So that 45 is a whole number. So we're going to put it in the whole number spot. Go ahead and try these on your own, and then we'll talk about it. Welcome back. So this hot summer day becomes 25 and 4/10. Hot summer day here becomes 1 and 73 hundredths. This says 20 and 7 hundredths. I can hot summer day to double check. That should be a 0. And then we have 5 and 303 thousandths. For the bonus, this decimal is all the way over here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 123,456, and 9/10. It's a big number. It's a relatively little fraction. We can also use division with remainders to convert improper fractions to a mixed number. So 37 divided by 10 equals 3 remainder 7, or 3 and 7/10. They want us to know, what is 79 divided by 10? Well, that would be 7 remainder 10, because 10 can only go into 79 7 times, which would end up being 7 and 9/10. We can also, if you'd like, double check that by making the ln dividing. 79 on the inside, 10 on the outside. 10 goes into 7? Nope. 10 goes into 79 7 times. 7 times 10 is 70. That leaves us with 9 left. Take that 9 in the remainder that we used to call a remainder, put it all the way up in the numerator. And the outside numbers, hey, look at that, 7 and 9/10. Same thing over here, 608 divided by 100. Well, I know that there are 6 hundreds here, so 100 can go into 608 6 times. The remainder, the leftover, would be that 8, so this is going to be 6 and 8 hundredths. We should also be getting in the practice of simplifying. So we divide this by 4 over 4, and we would get 8 divided by 4 is 2, 100 divided by 4, think about how many quarters go into a $4. So that would be 6 and 2/25 for our absolute final answer. They want us to do the same thing here. I'm going to let you go ahead and give this a shot, and when you come back, we'll talk about it. Welcome back. 43 over 10 is the same as saying 4 and 3/10. 708 over 100 is the same as saying 7 and 8 100ths. That can be simplified if you remember. 8 100ths becomes 2 25ths, and if you're not sure why, rewind the video a little bit. 3,524 thousandths becomes 3 and 524 over 1,000. That can also be simplified. They are both even, so I can divide by 2 over 2. And then we have kind of a challenge question here. How many times can 100 go into 1,234? Well, I know that there are 1,200 in there. So 12 will be the whole number. 34 over 100. That can also be simplified, and I know that because both of those are even numbers. But I'm also trying to keep the video short. I'm doing my best. Once you can change an improper fraction into a mixed number, you can also change it to a decimal. So after you have 37 over 10 and you get it to 3 and 7/10, then we just put it into the decimal, the same way that we have been. So let's go ahead and try to change these into decimals. First step, go ahead and change them all into a mixed number, and then we'll talk about it. Welcome back. So this first one becomes 2 and 8/10, but we're not going to simplify right now. You'll see why in a minute. You can't really do the next trick unless it's a multiple of 100. Letter B would be 72 and 8/10. Letter C would be 79 and 3/100. Nope. Hopefully you're paying attention more than I am, because that was 100 on the bottom and I was still stuck in the tens, so that would be 7, nope, and 93 over 100. Letter D would be 78 and 46/100ths. You might have also done the bonus, which is 63 and 457 over 1,000. Now that you have this part, go back and let's turn these into decimals. Pause the video, we'll come back. Welcome back. So 2 and 8/10 is the same thing as 2 and 8/10. 72 and 8/10 is the same thing as 72 and 8/10. 7 and 93/100ths, 7 and 93/100ths. 70 and 46 over 100 becomes 70 and, 78. That makes more sense. 78 and 46/100ths. This last one would be 63.457, or 63 and 457 thousandths. So now they want you just to convert straight to a decimal. Go ahead and give it a shot, and then we'll talk about it. Welcome back. So let's go back here and let's take a look at something. See how 0 decimal, 0 decimal, 0, 0, 0 decimal, 0, 0 decimal. We can go straight and use that trick. So let's go ahead and look here. We have one number that is, we have 1 0 in the denominator, so that means it's going to be 65.4. Letter B, 0, 0, and then decimal, so that's 436 and 54/100ths. We have one number here, so that's 375 and 6/10. And then for our last one, without the bonus, 1, 2, 3 would be 53.094, or 53 and 94 thousandths. Same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal, so that's 8,450 and 36714 over 100,000. Remember that when we're doing things with negatives, you do the exact same thing, and you just keep the negative sign. So go ahead and give this one a shot, write these as decimals. Alrighty, let's take a look. So this would become negative 61 and 2/10. This, if it wasn't negative, would be 3.82, or 3 and 82 hundredths. Now, because of the negative sign, it's negative 3 and 82 hundredths. Letter C would be 4 and 7 hundredths. So I'm going to go ahead and put negative 4 and 7 hundredths. And letter D would be, well, we have 1, 2, 3, so it would be 83 and 2 thousandths. So because of that negative sign, we put a negative sign. Done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have a wonderful day.